GOPer compares ISIS to fanatic Christian terrorists who lynch blacks, but I'm going to expand a little bit on that. So here we go. Here's the topic.
Anybody who has gotten involved with that organization knows that they are murdering people. They're putting guns to the back of their heads, burning people alive in order to try to terrorize you and me. This isn't some psychological esteem problem that we're going to solve with psychology. We're going to have to defeat these people, and we need to work with those people who will kill them so that they don't kill us.
Chicago, Illinois next. Beverly, line for Democrats. Good morning, Beverly.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, you know, I hear this gentleman sit here and say President Obama won't call these Muslims radical Muslims. Okay.
No, Muslim terrorists. Yeah.
Okay, what do you call Christians when they behead blacks, castrate blacks, throw firebombs in churches, killing innocent children, all because we're black? Why don't you all call Christians radicals?
Actually, you're talking to some guy who has used that phrase. Look, my dad was in the military. We lived in North Carolina when I was growing up. This is in the 50s. And I am fully aware that we had people who thought of themselves as Christians, who were carrying crosses, burning crosses, who were brutalizing and terrorizing America's black population. And so I agree there are a lot of people who deserve the criticism that you just made, but it's not me.
Let's try to get in Jack from Flysburg, Pennsylvania. Line for Democrats. Jack, you're on with Congressman Rohrabacher.
Hello, sir. You keep referring to Islamic terrorists. If you lived in 1920 and the Ku Klux Klan was lynching and burning people, would you refer to them as Christian?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would.
You would?
Yeah, not only I would, I have. You missed an earlier call. I lived in North Carolina in the 1950s. And it was very clear that you had a terrorist group in the United States who were claiming to be dedicated Christians who were out terrorizing the black people of this country. And yeah, they excused themselves with Bibles and crosses all the time. Yeah, they were Christian terrorists, fanatic Christian terrorists. Yeah, they were.
Dana Rohrabacher is a Republican from California. He's the chairman of the Emerging Threats Subcommittee in the Foreign Affairs Committee. Always appreciate your time.
So before we start here, I would like to add that he's a very rare Republican, I would say. All right. I think if Republicans were just as honest as this guy, you know, we would maybe get somewhere on some social issues, you know. We would progress much quicker as a nation, I think, especially on civil, basic human rights, healthcare, maybe even education. So who wants to go?
But maybe even education.
Maybe education. So
I don't know. It's refreshing to see him admit it, but I don't know if you can separate the Christians that did the shit the KKK did and those racists and bigots, then why can't you separate Islam from what ISIS does and say that, well, they obviously just twist the holy book around to fit their needs, and obviously then that doesn't make all Muslims terrorists. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a simple next step in the logic. I guess I didn't hear him say enough. I heard him say a lot, but I didn't hear him say enough to have me either like him or hate him. It was just somewhere in between where he was trying to be honest about it. You know, so I'll give him credit there.
But that's still a +1 for most of these Republicans that go on these shows and talk, though, right?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, even if it leaves you just kind of like, eh. I mean, that's still a plus, because normally it's like, oh my fucking God.
You're just happy he didn't talk about how he castrated hogs.
Worked on the biscuit line.
Yeah, exactly. You won't see Fox News ever covering a story like this. But I want to talk a little bit about, you know, we know Islam is a very, not Islam, but ISIS, they're a very fucked up demographic. There's no fucking doubt, right? The atrocities they commit. Okay. But we can't.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just about to join them.
But we can't.
I'm going to have the FBI at my door in no time.
But,
it's a joke.
I know.
If Google was a guy, excuse me, they just like stand so.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't ignore the atrocities that were committed by Christians or Christianity in the name of Christianity. We can't ignore that. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. I'm going to give you a couple examples of Christian atrocities in the past, say, 100 years. Okay, just a few examples here. The first one, and it's denied by the Catholic Church, but Germany. I'll get into this right now. So, Rwanda massacres in 1994 in the small African town or country, I should say, of Rwanda. In just a few months, several 100,000 civilians were butchered, apparently a conflict between Hutu and Tutsi ethnic groups. Now,
that was done with machetes, by the way. If you ever watched the movie Hotel Rwanda, that movie deals with it, and it's disgusting.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
But there was rumors for quite some time about the Catholic clergy, actively involved in the 1994 Rwanda massacres. Odd denials of involvement were printed in Catholic Church journals before even anyone had openly accused members of the church. Now, in October '96, in a newscast in Germany, as well as Catholic priests and nuns are suspect of having actively participated in murders. So that's one example. The second example, of course, he noted was KKK, Christian extremists, lynching, killing blacks, Jews, gays, etc. That's still going on, guys. This is still continuing with the KKK. We see this in the South. And then
it's not nearly as prevalent as it used to be.
It's not as prevalent as it used to be, correct, but it does still happen.
The racism is damn near still as prevalent as it used to be. It's just not out in the open. They don't have the numbers to go around just like lynching black people like they used to.
And also another example is the Nazis. The Nazis, no doubt, were using God and Christianity as a platform to exterminate the Jews. You look at Mein Kampf. Hitler said, and I quote here, "In standing guard against the Jew, I am defending the handiwork of the Lord." That's in his book.
No, they should put that in the school books in Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, they should.
In the history books. We'll see how that fucking works out for them.
Exactly. And the last two examples I have are currently in Chr-Africa. Christians commit an atrocity of genocide on the Muslims in the area. Sectarian violence. We see it. It's happening right now as we speak. And the quote here, the most lethal attack documented by Amnesty International took place in Basemtelia. I think I pronounced that right, where at least 100 Muslims, including women and elderly, were killed by Christian terrorists. And the last example, we cannot forget this, is the abortion doctors that were killed by Christian extremists, mostly due to the brainwashing of Randall Terry's Operation Rescue campaign. So we can't forget that. So there's a few examples of Christian atrocities that have been committed within the last 100 years. And
also,
there's more. There's
you
more
forgot
out there,
9/11 because 9/11 was an inside job, and America's a Christian nation. Therefore, the Christianity is responsible for 9/11.
But the funny thing is, you won't hear any of this shit on fucking Fox News or major media outlets and period. So you won't hear this shit. So I just think fundamentalists on both sides, the end here is, both sides of the coin, I believe they use their holy texts as justification for their actions. So when people say they're not real Christians or real Muslims, I have to call bullshit to a certain point here. Yeah. They adhere to their holy texts. More so than the so-called moderates do. They do. Yeah. You have to admit that.
It's the no true Scotsman.
Correct. Bingo.
And you're basically saying anyone that doesn't do Christianity the way I do it isn't a real Christian, and they can't. If you're doing shit in the name of your religion, I mean, then it's kind of you can't necessarily blame the religion 100% because there are people who want to do crazy shit and then they use their religion to justify doing that crazy shit. And then there are people who wouldn't have done the crazy shit, but their religion told them to. And it's those people that I think end up being more extreme and more easy to lead away. So if a Christian uses the Bible to justify not wanting to let gays get married, that's more acceptable, at least, than a Christian saying, no, we have to stone them to death. Because then they're being much more extreme. So there is a level of, where people can be moderate and kind of get away with it better. And as long as they keep getting more and more and more moderate and less and less extreme, then we're moving in the right direction. If you think religion's just going to roll over and die, that's not how it works. Nope. It just gets, it's religion, it's Christianity, then Christianity light, and then Christianity lighter, and then it's barely Christianity, and then it just fades away. And that's how it ends up working. It doesn't just like, oh, it's 2016 and that's the year Christianity died. That's not how it's going to work.
And then a new religion is born.
No, I wanted to say in regards to what Joe was saying, it always seems funny to me because I hear it a lot about when Christians want to deny that link between, the KKK and and all these things. I mean, I don't know how you're going to say that in the American South from 1860 to 1960 that the people in the South weren't overwhelmingly Christian. I don't know how you can even pretend to make that argument. I mean, that's like one of the harshest times of persecution and oppression for blacks. Goddamn, I could just imagine what it was like to be gay at the time.
Jeez.
Well, you're just talking about one of the most persecuted times in American history. Like in world history, religion has been used to do a lot of really terrible shit over long periods of time to millions and billions of fucking people. And it's, you know, to use... I just hate that whole, like, you know, it's the religion of peace with Islam, and Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and it's peace, 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 but it's never fucking peace, is it?
No.
No, it isn't.
No.
Paul, what do you got to say on this?
It's like, yeah, you can't try to say that people aren't doing things in the name of the religion when they're quoting the book and when they're saying they're justified because of these passages out of the book and things like that. While they might be interpreting it wrong or taking it too literally or whatever, they're using that as part of their justification. So to try to distance from it, it's more revisionist for me.
No,
revisionism.
I like that sentiment there. No doubt.
To tie it in with the first story.
But one thing I want to add here real quick, and then if anybody else wants to go after this, and we can end this up and get on with the Q report, is this. You need to realize that there's an issue right now with ISIS, and then here in America with the Christians, the fundamentalists, the news media outlets out there. We have this issue now going on, and now you're starting to hear about the end times once again on both sides of the fanatics out there. Okay, this belief is progressively, I should say, rapidly. It's progressing very rapidly, I should say, and it actually scares me to think about. It really does, because if you get the wrong person in charge in a country, it could get scary, you know, and it should scare the religious moderates out there too. You know, who's got his right? Think about that, or could they all be wrong? Think about that. I believe they're all wrong and they don't exist. So let's protect humanity here. Go ahead.
I was going to say that with like if the wrong leader gets in power, it's kind of the same argument they're using against Obama, though. I mean,
True.
As a society, you have to change shit as a society to put off everything on Congress or the president or whatever as a scapegoat. But we put those fucking people in power as a society. We've done this basically to ourselves. And so we as a society are the ones who are going to have to fucking fix it. It's not going to be fixed by the corrupt and crazy ass people that we put in charge.
Well, I mean, this is where we have to start voting for people that actually care, you know, that want to change things, you know what I mean? And we see a big movement in the secular community out there with politicians. We see it. It's out there. Well, vote
start
for them
throwing away your
and
vote. I think that might be one of the solutions. Just start throwing away your vote, like for someone you actually care about, but you know won't win. Fuck it. Go stand in line and do that shit. And
be
just
proud.
Make a long line that a normal Republican is like, fuck it, I'm not going to stand in that line. And then eventually, maybe, I don't know, because their whole solution to how Republicans stay in power is to limit the voting, because they know the less people vote, the more likely they are to stay in power. And it's sickening that at the same time they call that freedom and shit. This is the same way they abuse that freedom is the same way they abuse their freedom to religion and all that shit.
No, very well said there, no doubt. And like you said, I think, you might call it wasting a vote. It is when you come down to it. You know, a lot of these people don't have a chance in hell to fucking get elected. But you know what? I think it makes a point. It makes a stance. And maybe if we make videos about the people that, people should fucking vote for and say they have good values, they have good points, you never know. We might see one of these people fucking get elected. You don't know. But you know what? It's worth a try, and it's worth to keep positive about it, and just let's have at it, man. You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
Yeah.